Hey guys, what's up? Zach from All Strength Training. I wanted to talk about one of my favorite topics regarding nutrition and dieting specifically, which is the concept of cheat days and cheat meals. All right. Now, I think there are two extremes that people tend to function with when it comes to cheat days and cheat meals. There's one side that will say that when you're focusing on fat loss, you should not cheat ever. There's near zero flexibility. There's, everything is going to have to be sugar-free and low carb and just protein and vegetables and healthy fats, and everything has to be organic and everything has to be free range. And God forbid we touch, a French fry for the next 52 weeks. Okay. That's wrong. Okay. However, there's also a side that will focus on, okay, every week you're going to take one day and you can eat whatever the fuck you want. All right. So the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, calories basically don't count. And we're going to treat this like, let's see how well we can max out our stomach's ability to stretch. Okay. We're going to have all the burgers. We're going to have all the fries. We're going to have all the pizza. We're going to have all the ice cream for one day. And then we'll wake up the next day and we'll immediately go back onto our plan and everything will work incredibly perfectly. Also wrong. So let's look at the reasons why we might need or want to use a cheat meal. I personally have kind of gotten away from using the term cheat meal and specifically and even cheat day, just because it sort of implies that you're doing something wrong, but if we do it right, it's actually part of the plan. So I like to use things like free meal. I know some other trainers and coaches will use terms like an untracked meal, whatever you want to call it. But basically, first and foremost, the idea of a cheat day is completely unnecessary. Okay, that I do not know anybody whose results are made better by taking an entire 24 hours to smash as many calories as they possibly can. I can guarantee that whatever calories you took in during that 24 hours is going to backtrack you by potentially your entire week. So you might end up just running flat and maybe maintaining. You could go really sharp into a calorie deficit Monday through Saturday. Sunday, you go have your all out cheat day and then you end up right back at square one the next Monday. So cheat days, get them out. They serve absolutely no function. All right. And I cannot think of a single exception to that rule. Okay, I don't care what you've read in a magazine or on the internet. I've been doing this stuff for 20 years as a coach. I've not seen a single situation where I've ever given someone an actual cheat day and had it be worth it. Okay, so let's look at individual meals. Okay, so this might be something that's done on a weekly basis. This might be something that's done on a bi-weekly basis, on an as-needed basis. But basically the intention behind a cheat meal, free meal, refeed, whatever we want to call this, is twofold. There's a physical benefit and there's a mental benefit. All right, so the physical benefit we'll look at that first. The physical side is that as we get into a calorie deficit, your body is a very adaptive system. So when our calories get lower, your body will learn how to become more efficient on those low calories. This is why you'll hear stories of people who can't lose weight on less than 1,000 calories a day, is that if you've been doing that chronically for months and months or years and years, your body has learned how to live on very, very little calories. Sort of like if I went from making $100,000 a year down to $30,000 a year, if I've had to deal with that change in lifestyle for 6 months, I've learned how to become incredibly frugal. I've gotten rid of things that don't matter to me anymore. I've gotten rid of my Netflix subscription. I've gotten rid of my Amazon Prime account. I've gotten rid of Starbucks coffee, and I'm only doing, coffee at home. Like, you learn how to cut out things that don't matter. Your body will do the same thing. If you stay chronically in a calorie deficit, your body will start to down-regulate its metabolism to accommodate the calories that you're putting in. So now, and this is not after 2 days or 5 days or 10 days. This is weeks. So once we're deep into the process, I would say for someone who's first starting out, this won't become relevant for most people until at a minimum the first 2 weeks in, but often it might be even closer to the 4-week marker or even potentially deeper, depending on the sort of point you're starting from. Okay, now that's from a physical standpoint. The physical benefit is that when we're about to start adapting to those lower calories, using a cheat meal or a refeed meal that's a higher calorie meal creates this caloric influx, and it sort of reminds your body that there are still going to be excess calories coming in every once in a while, and we don't need to down-regulate our metabolism. Sort of like if somebody only makes, a $50,000 a year salary, but they know that every quarter they're going to get a 15% bonus. They know that that's coming. So they don't need to completely down-regulate their lifestyle because they just have to wait, and then that check's going to show up in their bank account. So the refeed meal is going to kind of work physically that same way. All right. Now, I highly recommend these things be planned so that they don't become an impulsive thing, because it's very easy to do too many of these. But when you're in a calorie deficit, I would say once you kind of get to the point where these things become necessary, maybe every 7, 10, 14 days, there can be some benefit in keeping your metabolism from adapting too low. The leaner you get, I think the more frequently they become beneficial. If you're starting with 100 pounds of body fat to lose, every 2 weeks, once you get to the point where you need them, is probably plenty. If you've gotten to single digit body fat, maybe you're lean enough you can see your abs. At that point, maybe we got to do it every 7 days, every 10 days. I've had some people need it even more frequently, but it's kind of a case-by-case situation. But we want to use those meals to prevent long-term down-regulation of our metabolism. Okay, so that's benefit number one. Benefit number two is the mental one. Okay, now this does not need to run in line with the physical benefit. That I've worked with people that as long as I can promise them that, hey, once a week or twice a week, I know I'm asking you to keep your calories lower. I know I'm asking you to not do things that provide a lot of, emotional benefit, stress relief benefit. Maybe you and, your spouse love to prep this particular dish, and you know it's a high calorie dish, but it's something that you guys love doing together. We might want to find ways to incorporate that sort of stuff, even if our body doesn't need it. Maybe our brain needs it, because if we use a refeed or a cheat meal, free meal, whatever you want to call it, just to help keep someone focused the rest of the week, that could have a tremendous benefit to long-term success. Okay? And so I want to make sure that we're really looking at this both ways. You do not have to wait necessarily until your body is starting to adapt and down-regulate its metabolism if there's concerns that someone might potentially essentially go off the wagon by restricting or withholding things for too long. So you kind of have to self-assess, or if you're working with a coach, that's definitely a conversation that you should be having is, what do I realistically need? And there are limits. If someone's like, well, I can't go more than 48 hours without a Five Guys burger and fries, there's going to be some challenges in making that work. There's a point where it's not going to become realistic. But if we're looking at, hey, once a week, once every 10 days, whatever it is, I think this is going to help me stay focused if I know that I can do this thing. Now, it does also matter that we don't just go apeshit with our calories on this one meal. It needs to be a meal and not an event. So we can't start at 5 p.m. and then stop at 12 a.m. after we've hit 2 Italian restaurants and a gelato stand and a bakery and then another gelato stand on the way home, and then stop by Taco Bell because for some reason we hate ourselves and want to punish ourselves that way before we go to bed. So there's a limit. It's not a race to put in as many calories as you can. It's just the mental benefit of taking in things that you might not otherwise be able to work into your plan on a regular basis. All right, so make sure that we use our free meals, cheat meals accurately and correctly and conservatively, and that they're done with intent and not just as an excuse to say, well, I've been dying for this sort of thing, so today feels like the day to have my cheat meal. So hopefully this kind of makes sense. If you guys have questions, make sure you throw a comment below. I'll be happy to clarify anything that I didn't cover on this. And then make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel, and there'll be definitely more stuff like this coming. So if there's anything you'd like to hear, again, throw a comment below and I'll be happy to cover it in an upcoming video.